So the whole essence of what we do is about just accepting things as they are, without trying to change them. So it's maybe okay to accept the pleasant things as they are. Maybe we can do that quite easily, but it's not so easy to accept the more unpleasant things in our lives as they are. The irritations, the disappointments, the judgments, the comments from other people, the anger, and all these different things that blow us around all the time, which the Buddha calls the worldly winds. So we're always trying to, in a way, get to the pleasant and try and avoid the unpleasant. And it seems like a fairly sensible, rational thing to do, doesn't it? But actually, it doesn't quite work very well, because we can't really avoid the unpleasant. It's going to happen. We might avoid some of it, and that's fine, but most of what happens. So if we can just be with what happens in a relaxed, kindly way, just seeing it and not reacting to it, then it really helps us to stay in a more contented state. We don't get ourselves worked up. And I could say a lot more about this, but I don't want to take up the meditation time. So this meditation, lots of meditations are about just accepting whatever's happening, accepting mostly in this case the workings of the mind. So as we do this meditation, you'll notice that your mind is constantly coming in and trying to take over. And that's okay. We're not trying to get into a battle with the mind at all. But we don't get caught up in it. We don't let it take over. Instead, what we do is we just notice that we've been distracted by a thought, and we come back to the meditation. And it's as simple as that. So it's in 4 parts, this meditation, and I'll take us through it as we go. The first 2 parts, we count the breaths. So in the first part, we count right at the end of the in-breath to ourselves. And then in the second stage, we count just before the in-breath. So the first stage, right at the end of the out-breath. The second stage, right at the beginning of the in-breath. And then in the third stage, we just move to the body and just notice what the breath feels like in the body. Mainly in the chest area to begin with, where we can really feel the breath. And then in the 4th stage, we move to the area around the nostrils or the upper lip, wherever we breathe in, and we just focus on that with a curiosity and try and see what's happening there. What does that feel like? What does it really feel like? What are the qualities of the breath? So that's what we do. And all this activity that we're doing, this structure that we're following in this meditation, actually helps our minds to settle. So it's very useful, but it's not about the structure. It's about actually noticing what's happening and being kind to that and not getting caught up in wanting this thinking to stop, or thinking that we're useless at this or anything else. Any thought that comes up, pleasant or unpleasant, we just notice it and let it go. We don't get caught up in it. We don't push it away. We just see it. And the minute we see it, actually, magically, thoughts just disappear. They can't survive in the light of our seeing. So that's what we're doing anyway. And this helps us, if we can do this regularly, then during the day, we just find it easier to let go of things that wind us up a bit. Okay, so we'll begin. And this will be just under 30 minutes. And we'll begin as usual by just settling into a comfortable posture. You might be lying on the bed. You might be sitting on a chair or lying on the floor even, or sitting on a cushion. However you are, just make sure that you're comfortable and that you're going to be okay for the next 30 minutes or so. And be gentle with yourself. So we're going to just start, as we always start, by taking stock of how we are this morning. Each day we're in a different place. Each day the circumstances of our lives have changed. Our mind changes. Our body changes. Our thoughts change. Our emotions changed. So what do we like this morning? Just being really honest with yourself, not trying to put a nice gloss on it in any way. And however you are, that's great. It doesn't matter if it's feeling really fantastic or feeling a bit awful. It's okay. Both are okay. It's where we're starting from. And just noticing the weight of your body pressing down on the seat or the bed or the floor. Any tensions or tightness in the body. Turn towards it with a sense of kindness. Give any discomfort of any kind as much love as you can. That's what it needs. And bring in the attention to the chest area, expanding and contracting as we breathe. Just noticing how this feels. And allowing yourself to relax on each out-breath. And just let go. And I'm going to start with a poem. This is called A Morning Poem, and it's by Mary Oliver. Every morning the world is created under the orange sticks of the sun. The heaped ashes of the night turn into leaves again and fasten themselves to the high branches, and the ponds appear like black cloth on which are painted islands of summer lilies. If it is your nature to be happy, you will swim away along the soft trails for hours, your imagination alighting everywhere. And if your spirit carries within it the thorn that is heavier than lead, if it's all you can do to keep on trudging, there is still, somewhere deep within you, a beast shouting that the earth is exactly what it wanted. Each pond with its blazing lilies is a prayer heard and answered lavishly every morning. Whether or not you have ever dared to be happy, whether or not you have ever dared to pray. So perhaps we're not praying this morning, but we are meditating, which is also good. This is the mindfulness of breathing. And in the first stage, we're just going to count at the end of each out-breath, right at the very end, just very softly placing the number 1 at the end of the first breath, then number 2 at the next out-breath, and then number 3, and so on up to 10. And when we get to 10, we begin again at 1. So you're probably finding that you don't get very far on with the counting, and that's fine. Doesn't matter if you only get to 1 before you're interrupted by a thought. Just very kindly noticing that you've been distracted and coming back to the breath and beginning the counting again, right at the end of the out breath. Not getting too caught up in the counting. That's just there to help our minds to settle. Mainly following the breath, that's the important bit. Following each out breath right to the end. Not worrying about any distractions. They're not a problem, it's just what the mind does. Just letting go of the counting for now. Taking stock of yourself, how you are. If you're uncomfortable, please move and make yourself comfortable. And then when you're ready, we're going to start counting at the beginning of each in-breath in exactly the same way. Beginning with 1 on the first in-breath, 2 on the second, and so on up to 10, and then beginning again at 1. And if we get distracted, as we almost certainly will, just beginning again at 1 when we notice, just before each in-breath. And if you get distracted, just notice the moment that you notice you've been distracted. That is a wonderful moment. It's a little piece of awakening when you come back into the present moment. So just rejoice in that, really. Coming back into the present moment and counting just before each in-breath. We're going to drop the counting altogether now and just move our attention to the chest area and the movement of the breath in the chest, just following the rise and the fall. Noticing the sensations of the breath, the sensations in the chest. If we can get lost in the rhythm, you might find this is really pleasurable. You might notice that the upper body is expanding and contracting at the front, at the sides, and at the back, like a bellows. Just getting lost in the ebb and flow of the breath in the body. In the fourth stage, we're going to bring our awareness up to the area around our nostrils or the upper lip where the breath comes into the body. Whichever part of the body, whether it's the nostrils or the upper lip, just noticing the breath brushing past these sensitive areas, coming into the body, leaving the body. Can you notice it? You need to get very focused. You might feel it in the nostrils or at the beginning of the nostrils, in the nose, or perhaps even further up. Just really focusing on this area and the sensations. Maybe noticing the quality of the breath. And does the temperature of the breath change between coming into the body and leaving the body? And just letting go of all effort now. And for the last couple of minutes, we're just going to sit with our experience, all our experience, whether pleasant or not so pleasant. Just noticing, just accepting it as it is. Not getting carried away with things, not pushing anything away. I'm going to ring the bell in a moment, and when I do, just coming round gently, opening your eyes, moving your body, taking your time.